Hey everyone, it's Manu. Today I'll try to answer two questions. How much gold you need to get started with flipping, and how to learn trading from scratch. I only play on European PC server. That is where I know the economy, the prices, and roughly what people buy, where, and why. So, to put myself in conditions close to what you may face at the start, I create a character on PC NA. No gold, no contacts, no knowledge of local prices. Exactly where every new player starts. I have only one advantage: general knowledge of the game, which I will try to share with you. One thing first. This video is not a recipe for what you should do. It is not buy this item and sell it there. Recipes like that only work until the market changes. This video is an attempt to explain how to work out what to do, how to think in unfamiliar conditions, how to learn, and how to accept that mistakes are just part of the process. They are what help you build your own system. And Zeal of Zenithar is the best event of the year for learning both trading and flipping. But it only makes the process faster. You can do the same things at any time, without events. It will just take longer. I will skip the first few hours on a new character. Until level 10, you cannot join a guild. So, I just enjoy the starting quests and the golden purses onboarding. I progress through the story, get my first rewards, increase my inventory space, and collect everything I may later sell: ore, runes, mood crop sheeting, and other resources. This is enough time to prepare a character for trading without grinding and build a first, even if tiny, starting fund before joining a guild. I reach level 10, now I can join a guild. But first I go to Craglorn and do the event starter quest. Yes, I already know Zenithar is active, but the principle matters more. When you arrive in an unfamiliar market, first look for yourself at what event is active, what quests it has, and what rewards players get. Do not rely only on retellings, other people's advice, or ready-made item lists. You need to see what players are doing and why. That makes it easier to understand what demand the event may create and what players may be ready to spend gold on. I do not have a guild yet, but first I want to get familiar with the event. I complete the introduction quest and look at the daily quests and rewards. Then, when I can trade, I will not be guessing demand. I will start with what I saw myself. One of the event starter quests needs an apple. I know I can steal one nearby, but the quest does not clearly say how to get the apple. There are many options, including buying one from a trader nearby. Here is already a possible idea: sell apples at a high price through a nearby guild trader. After the starter quests, I move to the daily quest. It gives 30 trade bars. One quick way to complete it is to buy 10,000 gold worth of items from guild traders. By this point, I already have enough gold. And since I need to spend those 10,000 anyway, I do not want to complete the quest with a random purchase. This is a chance to buy an item that I may be able to resell later. For this I installed Tamriel Center. I have a separate video about how it works, so for now I just use it for its main purpose. This is my first time on PCNA, and I do not know the local prices, so I do not start by trying to guess what is profitable here. I start with two numbers: how many of an item are listed and how many are bought. If at least half as many are bought as listed, that is already interesting. It does not guarantee that my item will sell right away, but it shows that the item is moving. I find crafting motive 38. The number of purchases and listings is almost the same. Current prices are close to the TTC average. But I still hesitate. I have little gold, and a mistake here would take a noticeable part of my whole capital. I check the trader nearby and see that the crafting motives there are already gone. That is enough for my first check. I am lucky to spot a cheap item at a nearby trader, so I buy it. The quest condition is done. Now I can turn it in. The reward gives me a style page and a recipe. I learn the recipe right away but keep the page to sell. It is another source of starting capital. I do not take the motives from my mail yet. On a new character the inventory is already full, and I do not want to mix items for resale with everything else. Now I need to join a guild. For that I have to install Awesome Guild Store. The standard game interface does not let you check guild information or apply to one from a guild trader. I specifically need a trader in Kraglorn. During Zenithar, players take quests here, farm boxes and spend gold to complete the daily quest. If I want to test how event demand works, I need to be where that demand appears. This does not mean traders in other cities are useless, but for a first test, Kraglorn is the most logical place. With AGS, I can check a guild's information, its rules and whether it fits my start. I am only level 11. I understand that an application from a new player does not look very convincing, so I do not just send it without a word. First, I read the guild description and write a message to improve my chances of getting in. In Kraglorn, I can only apply to 3 guilds. There are simply no more suitable options. So I sent my 4th application in Oridon, where I continue doing quests. I do not have a guild yet, so I have nowhere to list my items, but random junk is already filling my inventory. To sell it and get a little more gold, I find a regular vendor in Oridon and sell it. A few coins do not hurt at the start of the game. After that, I continue with quests and golden purses, while waiting for answers to my applications. But no answer comes. So, out of desperation, I start looking for a guild in Zone chat. To my surprise, I find one very quickly. It even has a trader in Alenor. This is a fairly large city and potentially a good place for trading. I join my first guild close to the end of the 4th hour of play. And I do not rush to list everything right away. First, I get to know the guild members, ask what people trade here and check the sales log. I still know nothing about the market here, but people who have been in this guild for a long time already have experience at this trading spot. Maybe someone will suggest an interesting item category, explain the local demand, or simply point me in the right direction. You do not have to blindly repeat other people's advice, but in an unfamiliar market, every extra piece of information is a reason to test a hypothesis instead of guessing from zero. Another hour quietly passes between quests, golden purses, and getting to know the guild. Only close to the 6th hour of play do I finally start listing items. By this point I have the motives I bought, the style page from the daily quest, and everything I collected in the starting zones. Now I can see what the market is ready to buy and at what prices. First I list the motives I bought. The ones I bought for 1000 gold go up to 5000. The motive I bought for 4000 I try to list for 20,000. I list the style page from the daily quest for 15,000. And I also list everything I managed to collect in the starting zones. The most valuable resources are mood crop sheeting, kuta and decorative wax. Why such high prices right away? I have no idea how much people here are willing to pay or what will sell quickly. So for me, the first price is not the final value of an item, it is a demand test. At this stage, I am not interested in selling for a small profit. First, I need to understand what people here buy, in which guilds, and how high the market is ready to go. And almost immediately the style page from the daily quest sells. I see the sale and make the wrong conclusion. It seems to me that the demand is high and there are simply no pages in the guild, so I need to bring more pages right away. Run to the nearest traders and buy 2 more style pages, one for 10,000 gold, the other for 7.5. My gold is almost gone. I list the pages and then I have to wait for a very long time. This is the first important mistake. One quick sale is not confirmed demand. It is only one sale. Maybe that player needed that exact page, maybe they were just completing the daily quest, maybe they saw the listing before the others. But I have already put most of my budget into an untested idea. And this is a good lesson at the start. You cannot draw conclusions from one case, and you should not put your whole capital into one hypothesis. And that is exactly what I do. I simply can't afford to buy anything else now. Maybe this is even for the better. After a quick sale, it is very easy to get carried away, rush to find the next deal, buy everything and try to make more gold immediately. In trading, it is sometimes important to cool down and let your listings sit. A big part of trading is waiting. While your items are listed, the market shows which decisions were right and which were not. Only after sales do you start to understand what is worth buying next. So I return to the story quests, continue doing quests and finish golden pursuits. Meanwhile, the listings work by themselves. Some time passes, I get a little gold from golden pursuits, Kura sells, and I have some budget again to search for new deals. I only look at very cheap items that I can resell with a high profit multiplier. I find a Rogada page. The number of sales is almost the same as the number of listings. Overall, it looks like a good purchase. But not for me and not now. It would take most of my budget, and I am still not sure how much buyers in my guilds are ready to pay for it. After the last mistake, I do not want to freeze almost all my gold in one listing again. But at a nearby trader, I find better options. 3 Hollow Jack pages with a gold master merchant recommendation. According to the add-on, I can sell them for 20 times more. Around the same time, one of the motives sells for 5,000 gold. This is still not a reason to make big conclusions, but it is another signal that motives may sell. I buy a few more items and start by listing them at high prices. At the start, I have almost no capital, so I do not need one expensive deal. To make gold quickly and understand the market at the same time, I need many different potentially good purchases with a high percentage profit. Do not think I only made a couple of thousand. If you bought an item for 200 gold and sold it for a couple of thousand more, that is a very good deal. What matters is how many times more the item sold for. That is how your total budget slowly grows. Later, when you have more gold in circulation, you can move to more expensive items. Again, I return to normal gameplay. I do quests, complete golden pursuits, and do whatever I feel like doing at that moment. The items are already listed. Now they need time. After some time, something sells. That means new budget, free slots, and a chance to look for new deals. That is how the trading cycle is built. Something sells, you look for a new item, you list it, you return to normal content, then you check the result again. But the next important thing is not only that a slot became free. What matters more is which item sold. Add-on numbers are only a hypothesis. If a listing looks profitable, but players in my guilds do not buy it, I do not buy more of the same item, even if the TTC deal looks very good. But items that start selling regularly become a priority. These are the categories I look for again when I have budget and free slots. You can deal with items that are already bought but stuck. Later, lower the price, try another guild or simply wait. Here is a specific example. For a test, I buy a ring for trade research and list it for sale. While it doesn't sell, I do not buy more similar rings even though the TTC numbers look very good. And when the sale finally happens, I get the main result of this test. The item sells too slowly. After that, I rethink the value of deals like this. I only return to similar rings when I can buy them very cheaply. A couple of thousand gold from a listing like that no longer interests me. It takes up a slot for too long and freezes gold that could work in another item. At first, I search for deals without AGS. AGS filters results by itself, but in an unfamiliar market, it is more important for me to foresee the whole selection. All listings, all prices, and all potentially interesting deals, not only what add-on has already selected for me. So I search through all listings and look at the profit hints. At this point, I only use AGS to list items. It gives me a much more convenient selling interface than the standard game interface. Later, when I have a little more budget, I start using AGS for searching sometimes as well. First, I set deal range to white deals. Then, as my capital grows, I move to green deals. Then to blue deals. But this is not simply moving from bad deals to good deals. It depends on how much gold I have and how many free slots I need to fill. At the start, I have many free slots and little gold, so I take many different cheap items with a good percentage profit. This grows my budget and tests different categories at the same time. Over time, all available slots fill up. Items sit there and wait for buyers, and I just wait for sales. At this stage, I start filtering much more carefully. I take fewer items but choose better deals. These are either confirmed categories that sell steadily for me, or more expensive tests, items outside the price range I worked with before. Price range works in a similar way. At the start, I only have 50,000 gold, so I do not look at items that cost more than that. As my budget grows, I can raise the upper limit. But a larger budget does not mean you should simply buy more expensive items. It gives you a choice. Either take better deals in items you already know, or carefully test new and more expensive categories. And, at some point, I notice one funny thing. I'm already actively trading, buying items, listing them, and trying to read add-on hints, but during another search I notice that the values in the hints look strange. It turns out I left the default setting on. In Deal Calculator options, I need to set the type to TTT suggested. And even after that, I do not choose the right option immediately. Later, I notice the mistake and fix it. So yes, you can trade like this, if you do not rely too much on add-ons. Add-ons do not replace experience from real sales. At some point, I have more gold in circulation, and the cities where all the search for deals start feel too small. Good listings quickly run out, and if you already have a budget, you do not need to lower your standards just to spend it somewhere. It makes more sense to expand your research. So I open new trading spots. I do not need extra add-ons for this. I can simply teleport to my guildmates. I have one advantage here. I know where guild leaders are, so this happens quickly. But you can easily find a list of guild traders on USP in the guild traders section. The point is not that the prices will automatically be better in a new city. It simply gives you a new set of listings. That means more chances to find deals that fit the criteria you have already developed. The method doesn't change. I simply give it a bigger market. In new locations, I start finding my first truly strong deals. Flipping is built on price gaps like this, when an item is listed much cheaper than what people are actually ready to pay for it. But this is no luck or a guess. By this point, I know which categories have started selling for me. I understand my budget. I don't spend on overly risky listings, and I simply expand my search to new places. The cycle stays the same. Find a deal, list the item, return to normal gameplay, and give the market time. This is how the first day of play ends. The next day, after the night, I already have 300,000 gold. A lot of items sell while I am away from the game. And now I can make the first summary of how I make decisions. In Master Merchant, I only change one setting. My add-on setup is almost standard. Most settings are out of the box. I do not try to optimize everything else in a special way. I still do not know what PCNA considers popular, what sells quickly and what will sit for weeks. So at first, I use add-on data, the number of listings and purchases. Then I test that data with my own sales. I do not take doubtful deals with a small profit, not because they cannot be sold, but because I need to grow my turnover quickly and leave enough room for profit. At this stage, I take items that I expect to sell for at least 2 or 3 times more than I paid. It is also important to fill your slots, so I only take expensive items when the profit is truly large. Otherwise, one listing takes too much of the budget that could be spent on several fast deals. By the end of the first day, I have confirmed quick sales of style materials, survey reports, some alchemy ingredients, style pages, and recipes. These are the categories I start buying first. This is not knowledge I brought from PCU. It is a conclusion that PCNA market gave me during the first day. After that, the principle stayed the same. I kept buying more of the items that had proven the demand, expanded my search, and gave them time to sell. After around 10 hours of trading on a new account, I have 2 million gold in hand, inventory upgrades, and roughly another million worth of items. And I was not trying to maximize the result. I did not optimize my search using my own advice. I did not sit for hours in one interface or build a perfect system. I simply searched for items in the most direct way possible, listed them, looked at the result, and repeated what worked. The hardest part of all this was not even finding deals. The hardest part was joining the first guild. Because of that, I could not properly start trading for a long time on the first day. That is why my result matters not as a story about special talent or knowledge. The opposite is true. I came to an unfamiliar server with no gold, no knowledge of prices, and no ready-made item list. Everything that worked I learned along the way, through sales, mistakes, and watching the market. That is why Zenithar is so good for learning trading. It does not give you a ready-made way to make gold. It creates conditions where demand becomes visible faster. The starter quests show what players need. The daily quests make many players buy 10,000 gold worth of items from guild traders. Traders stand near the quests. Kroglorn has many players doing dailies and farming boxes. Because of this, items sell faster. At normal times, you can do the same things. Look at what items players need, buy undervalued listings, test demand through your own sales, and slowly build categories that work. But during Zenithar, the market answers faster. That means it teaches faster. But the process itself doesn't change. Zenithar will end, and the market will keep living. Another event will come, the quests, rewards, and items with price gaps will change. On another server, in another guild, or simply later in time, demand will also be different. So do not try to repeat my purchase list. Do not repeat the items. Repeat the method used to find them. Look at what is happening around you. Try to understand why and when players need an item. Buy, list, wait, and build your own sales experience. Add-ons help with this, but they do not make decisions for you. If TTC or Master Merchant promise a nice profit but nobody buys your item, then at that moment, it is not a deal that works for you. Trust not the add-on numbers, but what actually happens in your guilds. And you do not need millions of gold, knowledge of every price, or a ready-made trading system for this. You need the desire to learn, to test things for yourself, and not to be afraid of mistakes. You can start with just 10,000 gold. And when you want to understand flipping in more detail, I have a series of 10 tutorial videos. Thanks for watching. May your trades be smooth and your profits high. Bye!